What's up everyone, Live with the Pepperoni here, and today we're going to be taking you guys through turbocharging this 1968 Chevy Nova that we put a 6-liter LS in out of a ambulance, I believe it was. It's a Gen 4, so it's got the thicker rods, it's got a cam in it, a couple other things that Blake did. Blake's the engine guy. I don't do any of that stuff. So we're going to be doing a 78-75 billet wheel single turbo right here. And I'll just show you guys. So this is like the old generation 78-75. This is actually for Blake's truck. And then here's the newer generation. You can see the second wheel in there and such, where these are all going. Apparently this one's better. It boosts quicker. It should be a better overall product or performance. And then a couple of huge differences, like with this one has a 2 1/4 inch outlet, where this one has a 3-inch outlet. So typically on a turbo like this, you'll need to do a reducer or exducer, make it go up to a bigger size of what you're going to be doing your intercooler and stuff. So we have it backed behind a brand new TKX 5-speed manual transmission. They're rated for around 700 horsepower. So given with a turbo and stuff in here, we're going to be putting it up around here to over here. These are Performance World turbo manifolds. They kind of mimic the Holley style, where it wraps around the back and then comes out front. They're just a hell of a lot cheaper than the cast. I do prefer cast manifolds, but the price difference there were about half price, so it just made sense to go with these. And then we'll put the turbo about here, have it nice in your face. Intercooler will be here, and yeah, the Performance World stuff is really good. We've used it on a bunch of race cars. We've never had a problem with them. The blow-off valve and stuff is pretty much a Turbo Smart knockoff, pretty much identical. Same as the blow-off valve. And then the turbo is based off, I think, either Borg Warner or a Garrett. I don't know. They're really good. They do their job. So if you guys want to make some decent power, keep on watching and I'll guide you guys through it. So what we're going to do is get a 3-inch pipe, well, 3-inch bends and everything, to like come up to this corner, and then that will go to a 3-inch intercooler. And then from this side of the intercooler, we're going to go from 3 to 3.5, and then 3.5 into the throttle body itself. So that will be good. This exhaust manifold I kind of had installed, hits the steering box a little bit, so I'm gonna have to get this red hot and just hit it with a hammer a couple times, give it a little indent so it clears right here. And then once it's on the hoist, we'll build the crossover tube in the back, but for now we're just gonna get focused on this. So what we're gonna start off with is just putting the clamps on here, and then kind of figuring out if we're gonna do a 45 or a 90 off of here, but it's probably gonna be a 45. So I kind of got a good idea of what's going on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put the 90 onto the V-band, because then this can twist in the actual housing there, and then we will kind of block up the turbocharger on some, I don't know, pieces of wood and stuff, kind of get it roughly where we want, and then we'll kind of make our way to there. So there's a kind of turbo all tacked in. Leaves us a lot of room to put a 30-degree angle for a 4-inch downpipe. Lots of room there. So what I'm going to work on now is twisting this to where we kind of want it to be, to make sure that we have necessary drainage for the turbo with the placement of everything else. So next up is going to be our wastegate. This is a 60mm wastegate, or it might be 50. I don't know. That's a 2.5 inch. Maybe it's 50. And then I think it's 50. We're going to say it's 50 or 60 millimeter wastegate. And we're just gonna place this bad boy right here and have that straight with this. And then what that will do is allow the excessive pressure to bleed off once it hits a certain amount of boost. And wastegates, in my opinion, are very, I think, overrated or underrated. Not enough people pay attention to wastegate priority and clearance and everything associated with it. Like, I think you should have wastegate priority, so it flows actually more direct into the wastegate than it does the turbo itself. So then all the pressure is able to bleed, and you never have boost spikes, you never have boost issues or anything. Right here, this obviously is going to go right there, and with a wastegate right there, that'll be pretty smooth. But it might even be better to do a Y here and then go straight to that. So I'm not going to do that though. We're not pushing like a lot of boost. We're going to be pushing like 10 pounds, so it won't be too bad. But I might just put that there, cut this down, and then that will kind of be a really good route to go for there, because then it V's right into the wastegate and then into the turbo as well. Sorry for the bad explanation. Okay, so here we have the final fitment of this. Fits really nice. So now I'm going to take this to the actual wastegate itself. Or not the wastegate, the engine itself. Ooh, maybe we have to tilt that a bit. I'm going to shave off a bit more from the front so then this sits perpendicular to this. And then we'll be ready. I didn't check that out. More grinding. Okay, so now that that's there, you can see I just Sharpie lined an outline of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drill a big hole in here. I'll match it up, and then we'll just die grind it till this bad boy fits, and then we'll be good. And then you can see, so the angle, airflow comes up here. When it hits like this here, will come up. And this should have a really good wastegate priority. It's obviously not as perfect as the turbo, but it's going to be really, really good instead of just putting a hole here and up. I understand that air will go to the path of least resistance, but this will definitely help with boost creep and other things. So always try to do what you can to get wastegate priority, because in the long run with a tuner and everything, it'll make a big difference. Okay, so here's the fit up. Once it fits nicely, it does fit nicely, so I'm just gonna go ahead and tack that, install it, and then maybe weld it all in, and we're good to go. Okay, so now that I got this all tacked up, I'm gonna install it again, and then we will make sure everything fits. and then we will weld this. We'll back purge it and weld it really nicely. But right at this second, we're gonna test fit it. So. So there we have it. Wastegate will come out here. Turbo will go there. Obviously turbo's there. Exhaust will come out here. Cold side will go a straight 90 here. Intercooler will be up front here. But yeah, so there we have the turbo on the Nova. Now it looks like we're really close. This is the easiest part of doing a turbo setup. Putting the exhaust is the fun part. Well, the hot side to the turbo, that's all the fun part. Now, everything else from here on is kind of horrible and hard and takes a lot more brain power, but this is the most aesthetically pleasing part of the process. So now that I know that this fits, I'm just gonna get this all welded and everything, and then we're gonna go from there and start the cold side. Maybe get some tubing for the wastegate. And I still got to get that other manifold in and get it cherry hot and hit that. So maybe once I have this out, I will do that for funsies, and then we'll get welding. So this is actually some really cool spray. It's called E-Sub spray, and you spray it on flat gray and it disappears within a couple hours. It's definitely expensive stuff, but it saves you a lot of time of marking out and other stuff while scanning. So a lot of people don't use it because it's so expensive, but for me it's a must. And here's me scanning the engine and the turbo setup just so then we can make the bracket that's as perfect as we need it. It'll allow us to go from the cylinder head to the turbo mount itself, and that'll hold it up and align it to take the weight of the turbo and the existing tubing so it doesn't crack in the future when it grows and heats up. And here's Autodesk Fusion. I'm just drawing the bracket up. I'm going to be doing a video on just basic Fusion stuff in the near future here, just to guide you through and kind of guys show you and everyone else how easy it is. It's a pretty basic thing once you begin. Yeah, it's very complex when you begin, I mean, but it can end up being very basic for what you do and stuff. Here's just fast forwarding because it take way too long to show everything. And here's my fast cut CNC table that I'm cutting out the bracket that I just designed to hold up the turbo. Okay, now that we got that all situated and kind of know that that mount is going to work, we're going to weld up this exhaust, like the hot side first, and then because we know the stainless is going to like bend and move and expand a little bit. So once we get this all welded in its final resting place, then we'll remount it to the car, tack up that bracket and mount, and then weld the mount because that's where this will be in its final stage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tape each end up, and then we'll set up a purge to fill the inside with argon, so then our weld is perfect on the inside and the outside, and we'll go through that. So what we did was just put some tin foil on here because that is heat proof, and then what we'll do, I just have this little jig here, we'll push through gas through here for about 15 minutes until it bleeds out at 15 CFH, And then when we get to this, we'll pull this off and kind of go on that route. And then we'll do all this. But we'll do all this first. Got the turbo all mounted, welded, and everything, as you guys seen. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tack this in now that this is welded and where it's situated. So I'm gonna tack that in the actual car while everything is mounted, and then I'm gonna bring it to the bench. I'll weld that up, and then this is kind of all done for the most part. So, figured out the radiator and got the bumper on, got the grill on, figured out where the intercooler is gonna go. So I forgot to take video, but so I'm just gonna chop this out, then the intercooler is gonna come here. I'm gonna weld 90s onto the intercooler, like super tight 90s like that kinda. And then we're gonna go here and make some mounts off here, and we'll be good. Gotta clean this up. So what we're gonna do here right now is I'm just gonna mark this off kind of where it has to go, and then take a straight edge from the side of the block here and kind of draw a straight line on here where this has to go, because we have to make this perpendicular with there. And then, or parallel, I mean, this pipe here has to be parallel with this, and then we'll be good. So we got the piece all cut, and then I got a 4-to-3 adapter right here that we're gonna put on there, and then we'll do 4-inch down all the way. So I'm just gonna tack these up right now, and then we'll be good. So I welded all the ends and everything, and now I'm just gonna riv nut the ends and then the top, so then we can build a top mount and then mount the fans. So So my battery died, and then yesterday I forgot the camera at home, so I got a bit more done. Sorry for the lack of stuff. So got the 16-inch fan mounted on the radiator shroud, got the radiator shroud in. I made a piece of plate on the bottom that I'll post a picture right here of how to mount the intercooler and the radiator to the actual car. So right now, there's a little 4-inch pie cut intake that will make a little box in the corner. Got the wastegate, got that all in, got that all welded up. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is take these cast bends and weld them onto there as short as I can. And then you can kind of see that will kind of align with the intake there. And yeah, so intercooler's next. And then once we get the placement for those in place, we can kind of run the cold side on the intake side and then the cold side on the turbo side and figure out where we're going to put the blow off valve. So So I have to do a little notching. You can kind of see here that that is going to be notched there. So I'll go like a bit higher than that. And then I'll grab some 3.5-inch tube probably, and then just put it in there, weld that. And this will have a nice hole to go right there, which will be pretty perfect for our coupler. And then our 90 can come straight up here and connect to there. And then we have to do the same to this side. You can see kind of the Sharpie mark there. We'll come through here straight into here. So we can move that around and kind of like aim it where we need it and then go from there. So got the intercooler, this all cut. So what I'm kind of seeing here is this is going to go in like that. We got to cut a bit more of an angle on it. And we're going to have to cut this off there just to get it a bit further away. Oh, this side's good. There's enough clearance for a clamp and everything there. I might just have to shave the frame a little bit. But this one's good. I was passenger side that I got to put a bit more angle on it, so I got to shave the intercooler a bit just to angle this a bit more to get into the intake there. You can kind of see it's almost there, so we're getting there. Got this marked out there, so that's gonna go like there. It's gonna nice sneak up here, and then we'll transition to 3.5 to go there. And this one's right there. You can kind of see it peeking out right there. And that's going to go straight down here. Look at that. Oh, going to be such a short run. Oh, I'm so excited. So here it is. Like I said, I still got to chop that off, but there's enough room for a clamp there. And a 90, we're just going to use a silicone 90 from 3 to 3.5, and then 3.5 is going to kind of go like this, and into there. So that's going to be exciting. And then this one here, we're just going to go a 3-inch. We're just going to have to probably just put a 90 in there. I might have a 3-inch 90. Yeah, we're just going to have to go like straight from there into there, and that will almost be perfect. And then we will just put a little coupler on here rather than a 90 coupler that can explode. So yeah, getting there. Have the intercooler all mounted. I didn't show you guys yesterday. Look at that. I'll show you guys the little piece. Got the radiator, the fan shroud all done. The wastegate location, kind of did a pie cut for the 4-inch intake to do a box in the corner. Got this situated for the 4-inch downpipe. Gonna put the O2 sensor around here so all the wires are all kind of hidden. Blake's gonna do a nice stainless oil feed line, and then everything's gonna get Cerakoted black. And then, ooh, I didn't show you guys yesterday, but I figured out this intake, the cold side right there. You can't really see, but you can see. Look at that, nice and short. So I just put this in the sandblaster. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sand it with a DA, get it all one color, and then I'll weld it. The reason why I put it in the sandblaster, because this was polished, this wasn't. It's just like a lot of non-equalities, so I'm just gonna do that. These bends, unless you spend many dollars on it, they're never really round, so it'll be fine though. Once it's welded, you won't notice it. So got the intake piping all in there. It's just gonna get sandblasted again and powder coated or Cerakoted, but it's a nice smooth finish, all one. I'm gonna have to make a mount to go from, I'm thinking these 3 bolts right there. Maybe that comes around, comes like this, around here, then like that. Kind of cleans up this whole top part. Maybe do a nice little bead roll on it. I'm gonna have to bring my bead roller here from my other shop. And then I'm gonna do the 4-inch there. So you just buy these pie cuts. It's way better than having to cut all them. I kind of just put them together. I forgot to film it. So this goes like that. And this is going to go back there like that. And that will be kind of the exhaust. And then we'll put a V-band down there once we get that going. So I'm just going to kind of get this situated, get a length of the 4-inch we need, cut that, and then tack this all together. We'll do a final cut on the bandsaw. So that has to go around there. So that's 13 to 3. So let's get like 11 inches. So there's a turbo kit and everything. I kind of had the video ended when I didn't mock this up and a few other things, but then I decided, I'm like, you know what, like as far as we're getting for right now, so I'm just gonna add this stuff to the video and then I'm gonna make it a bit longer. So here we got it. So we got the 3.5 inch all in for the cold side. We use a 3 by 3.5 inch 90 coupler. This side is 3 inch both sides, so it goes 3 inch off the turbo into the intercooler. We have a 4 inch intake that we'll have to make a box for. We have the 60mm wastegate. I double checked, that's what it is. To a 2.5 inch wastegate like outlet there, so I'm gonna still have to plumb that down there. That only gets hot when this opens, so when you're at full boost. This is a 3 inch to 4 inch exhaust, and then we'll be doing 4 inch out the back, so that should be enough air for this. Maybe a bit too much, but it should be really good. Like it'll not have any back pressure issues for the size of the turbo and stuff. So yeah, I have put the brackets and everything on my website www.lifewithapepperoni.com with 1P. And that'll include, I'll have that lower intercooler and radiator mount. I'll add the radiator in that we used. It's just like a Performance World aluminum. They're just like a universal, I think this one's 21.5 by 18 or 19 core. And then I'll add the fan shroud too, just so then like if you guys want to mimic this setup on your Nova, or I'm sure it'll work on Camaro too, the intercooler sits above the bumper, so you don't really see it, which is what I wanted. Once it's painted black and stuff, like all this stuff will be kind of become invisible, and it just makes for a nicer end product. But if you want to know that it's turbocharged and stuff, well, then you can just keep it silver. And yeah, so I'll do that. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. I enjoy this stuff. Like, this is what I enjoy doing, like the fasting driving stuff. No doubt it's fun, but like making all this Lego work together is what I enjoy. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it's right after the Roadster running and driving, but this week's just been very hectic here. We've been like super busy, so I haven't been able to get a chance to go on the work on the Roadster, but at least we got a video. So if you guys haven't yet, please hit like, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back on the Roadster next video. Thanks, guys and girls.